Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jaitni, and today we're going to be talking about how to get through hard things without burning out. So if you're someone who is trying really hard to change, who's trying to heal, and who's trying to move ahead, but you're still feeling stuck, or you're trying to eat better, you're trying to sleep more, you're trying not to overthink things too much, but you're still feeling overwhelmed, then this video is for you. Because I get it. I work with people like you. You're someone who is deeply sensitive. You're someone who is a perfectionist, and if something doesn't go according to plan or perfectly as you planned it, then it really weighs on you. You're someone who is extremely self-critical. You're juggling so much. You're just trying to do it all, and it feels like nothing is moving, and you just feel stuck. So this video is going to be about how to feel unstuck and how to actually get through those hard moments and get through this whole process where you're trying to transform and you're trying to make a change. So if you know someone who's in a similar boat, then please make sure to share this video with them. And the reason I'm sharing this today is, we're all on a journey to heal. And healing is not a linear process, first of all, and healing is not about having it all together. It's really about staying in the process, because healing has no deadline. It has no end date. You're always going to feel a little better and then a little better and maybe take a few steps back and then feel a little better. So that's kind of how healing works. So that's why I wanted to take a few minutes and share this video with you. So what does it really mean to be in the process? So the process itself is not glamorous. It's not a quick fix. It's not a 5-step checklist that you can follow, and once you're done with step 1, you move on to step 2. It doesn't work like that. The process is definitely more complicated and more taxing than that. Ultimately, the process is showing up for yourself in small, doable ways every single day, without trying to impress the rest of the world, without trying to worry about what somebody else thinks. So it means, if you're trying to weight balance and you have a certain weight loss goal, it means still showing up to the gym as many days as you can, as many days that it's good for you, and it could just be a 15-minute walk on the treadmill and then working your way up from there. Or it could be just adding veggies to one meal once a week than doing absolutely nothing at all. So the process is really about doing something, not doing everything, but doing that something consistently and making sure that it's easy enough and small enough for you to do on a regular basis, where you do start to see a change when the time is right. So that's really what the process is. It's one nourishing meal, or it's taking a 15-minute walk, or it's, when you get overwhelmed and you feel like you're not able to regulate your emotions, just kind of pausing and taking a few deep breaths and regaining your perspective instead of completely shutting down, because that's something I've done. I just pull the covers over my head and I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be up and deal with anything. I just want to sleep off whatever discomfort that I'm feeling, or whatever it is that's making me feel stuck. So it's not about that. It's about doing little things that get you to move and put one step in front of the other. So ultimately, the process is made up of tiny, doable steps that actually build resilience, not perfection. Your goal is resilience, because what happens when you are stuck in a hole? It's not about staying in that hole. It's not about giving up. It's not about getting that out of that hole in an instant. It's about slowly making your way out of that hole. So ultimately, it is about resilience and having it in you, having that grit in you to get through it and to get beyond it. Okay, so how do you actually stay in the process when it feels like too much? And this is something that literally you will have to do on repeat if you want to stay in that process. So step number 1 is accept and acknowledge. We are so good at trying to escape our feelings and trying to escape anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, that what that does is it makes the process even more difficult than it needs to be. And that's natural. Our body was built to protect us at all costs. That's how we have matured to this point. That's how we've evolved to this point. But when things get hard, the best thing you can do for yourself, even though it feels really yucky and icky, is to accept the emotions that you're feeling and to acknowledge the emotions that you're feeling. So, maybe you're feeling really defeated. Maybe you're feeling sad. Maybe you're feeling lonely. Maybe you feel like giving up. Whatever those emotions are, maybe you feel like a failure. Name them, accept them. Talk to someone about it if you want to. Journal for maybe 5 minutes. Just write down your thoughts. Do a brain dump. Talk to a professional about it if you have to. But you have to start seeing those emotions for what they are. Otherwise, it's going to turn into numbing and avoiding and turning to all these other ways that aren't necessarily the best ways to cope with these uncomfortable sensations. Okay, the next piece of staying in the process is slowing down and letting yourself rest. When you're feeling stuck and you're trying to go through this transformation, it turns into an all or nothing approach. Either you go so hard that you have nothing left to give, or you just completely say, I'm done, I'm not doing it at all. But there is an in-between. There is somewhere where it's moderate, and that moderation comes from slowing down, not going 100 miles an hour. So maybe that looks like staying in and not saying yes to every social obligation that you have and just spending time with yourself. Maybe that's slowing down and trying to just listen to your favorite playlist. When was the last time that you did that? So it's really taking some time for yourself, and all kinds of emotions might pop up. There might be anger, there might be resentment, there might be sadness, you might cry, you might scream, you might yell. All of these things will happen. Let them happen, because that's part of the transformation. You have to experience this stuff. You have to let it out of your system bit by bit so that you feel like you're ready to take that next step. So remember, slowing down is actually going to assist you in moving forward instead of holding you back. Once you start to do this, you ask yourself, what is one step that I am ready and willing to do? Remember, keywords are ready and willing. So this is not about what you should do. This is about what you want to do, what you need more of in your life, what you know is actually going to refill your cup. So you identify that step, however small it is fine. You actually want to make it very, very easy that it's almost laughable. So make sure it's small, make sure it's easy, make sure you're ready and willing to do it. As an example, it could be drinking a glass of water every day after you wake up. Or maybe it's taking 5 deep breaths before you sit down for a meal, whether that's lunch or dinner. Something so simple, that it's hard not to do it. It's hard to say no to it. So make it that easy for yourself. Once you do that, make sure you can do it on repeat. So it's pretty easy to take 5 mindful breaths before you have lunch, right? You put a reminder on your phone. It takes probably less than 10 seconds, and you do it, and then you go ahead and enjoy your lunch. So maybe you do that for 2 days, for 3 days, for 4 days, for 5 days. You do it for a week consistently, and then you build on it. Maybe those 5 mindful breaths turn into 10 mindful breaths, or maybe they turn into 5 mindful breaths before every meal, not just lunch. Maybe it's before lunch and it's dinner, and maybe it's even before you go to bed. So this is how you slowly start to make it a part of your routine, and this is how you slowly start to get out of feeling like you're stuck in the process. So you have to do it on repeat. Keep that number pretty realistic. Maybe 7 days is not where you want it and you want it at 5 days. That's okay. You pick your number and then you slowly build on it, as long as you're doing it every single day. Okay, and always have a plan B. This is one of the reasons why a lot of times habits don't stick, because in our heads, we have this version of it that everything is going to happen perfectly. But that's not life. Life is actually very, very messy and extremely unpredictable. So have plan B. Maybe you're out to lunch with colleagues, or you're out to lunch, or you're on a lunch date and you're not comfortable taking those 5 deep breaths before you have lunch. Okay, what is your plan B then? Maybe it's taking those 5 deep breaths before you get out of the car, or maybe it's taking 5 deep breaths in between lunch and dinner. So whatever it is, come up with your plan B, and make sure that plan B is also just as simple, just as doable, and you should be willing to actually do plan B. So don't make it too complicated, don't make it too difficult, but have your plan B. For instance, if you decide your action for every day is journaling, maybe you might be too tired to journal, or maybe you have unexpected things come up and you don't have the time to journal. So what else can you do instead of journaling? Maybe you could just do a recording on your phone and let things out of your system that way, and maybe that will give you perspective. Or maybe instead of journaling for 10 minutes, you only journal for a couple of minutes. So figure out plan B, because we are not going for all or nothing. The minute you switch to an all or nothing mentality, nothing is going to stick, and it's going to actually feel worse that you are stuck in this process and you're not seeing the change that you want to see. So start going with the mentality of something is better than nothing. That's really what plan B is. And then lastly, no matter what you do, celebrate it. Because this is new, it's different. You are retraining yourself. You are trying to make a massive change, and it's not easy. So why don't you acknowledge it? Why don't you appreciate it? And why don't you celebrate it? So always find something about it to celebrate. Maybe you have some kind of tracker. So for every day that you add veggies to one of your meals, you have a little check mark, and you'll slowly see those check marks add up. Maybe you have an accountability partner, and every day that you do 5 minutes of journaling, you send that person a message and say, hey, I journaled today. And that way you have someone who is holding you accountable. So find different ways to feel good, because this is also, scientific. When you do things that feel good, your brain wants to do more of it. So if you celebrate and there's a feeling of like, I achieved something, I accomplished something, and this feels good, you're going to want to do more of it. So that's why celebrating the win is so important, and it's actually the step that is almost always overlooked. So don't overlook it. You don't need a big breakthrough or something really huge to celebrate. Find your way. It could just be a high five, it could be a power pose, whatever resonates with you, that's what you do, and make sure you celebrate your wins. Okay, so then moving on from that, what happens if just things feel really, really hard and there's a day when you just don't want to do any of this? You know what? That's okay. You're human. The fact that you are even trying, that means you're sending a signal to yourself that you're worth it. So don't completely give up. You're allowed to take a few days off. You're allowed to have a tough day. You're allowed to say, I just don't want to do this today. I don't see where it's going. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel like there's no momentum and there's no point of this. But it is not okay to completely give up. It's important to then take that break and then show up again the next day, because, like I said, the message you're sending yourself is you're worth it. You're not just changing into a whole different person. You're actually becoming the version of yourself that you have always envisioned you'd be. So that takes time. You're a masterpiece. Give yourself that time. Give yourself that patience that you deserve. So on the days when it's hard and you really just feel like there's nothing you want to do, that's okay. Give yourself the permission to be that way. The worst thing you can do is beat yourself up and talk nasty to yourself. We don't do that. So you take that day, you say, you know what? Today is the day I want to take this break. Tomorrow, I'm going to get back to it. Just because you take a day off here and there doesn't mean you're starting again from scratch. It's wherever you stopped is where you pick up from. And again, when you start thinking about perfectionism and you start focusing on having everything done perfectly, that's when it gets a lot harder to stay in the process. So try and just kind of shed that piece of it and focus on something is better than nothing. So transition is hard. No matter what you're going through, transitions are really hard. Whether you're moving houses or you're moving cities or you're, ending a relationship, transitions are just not easy, but they can be doable and you can get through them by following some of the steps that I shared with you. They won't make the transition go by any quicker, but they'll actually make it worth it. And, you'll feel like you're actually doing something and not feel completely stuck, and worst case, not feel like you want to completely give up on yourself. So I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you for stopping by, and I will catch you here very soon. In the meantime, if you want to keep in touch, all the links are in my description. Thanks so much. Bye.